Hello everybody and welcome back to Potluck Economics. In this video we're going to be doing something different than I'm used to. We're going to be diving into a tutorial video on how to break down data whenever it comes to finances, how to build your own dashboards, and how to find really cool things within the data that you can use. This is going to be a very beginner focused course to basically show you guys how easy it is to get into breaking down your own data, how cool it can be whenever you build your first dashboards, and I will walk you guys through the whole process. And in this video we're going to be doing two graphs. The first graph is going to be this interactive graph, which is going to be comparing three different assets. We'll be looking on the stock market to get data from Facebook, Apple, and Twitter, and we will be seeing the different prices in retrospect to each other at different time frames. So this is going to be a really simple graph. I will show you guys how it's all done, but then later on we will be moving into cryptocurrency because I talk about a lot of cryptocurrency on my channel, and we will be building our own cryptocurrency dashboard to basically break down any asset we want on Binance. We will be grabbing a bunch of different things from Binance, and we will be able to create this candle chart that you can see here, which is also interactable, and we will be able to make it smaller, make it bigger. And then we will also be calling on the volume, which is going to be this lower chart, as you can see here, and it correlates directly to this long candle. You can see the spike, so this is all matching. And then we will also be calling on another graph, which is going to be number of trades at this bottom one. Other than that, I'm also going to be breaking down this really cool interactive table. And the cool thing is we can move them around. So if we only want to be looking at the open and the close price, we can make those the first two. And it just, it's just really, really cool in-depth graph. So let's just get into it, and let's just get started. So in order to get started, we'll bring up what we will be programming within. I prefer working within PyCharm, though this is a paid IED. You can definitely go into something free. So if you are just getting into programming, I would highly suggest getting a Visual Studio Code IED, and this is what a lot of people recommend for just getting started, and it's very, very popular. So anyway, look up a tutorial on how to get that up and going. It really isn't that hard to just download, and I would definitely install like a few different things, but they should be addressed in the tutorial video to help get you started. Other than that, the other thing which I would recommend getting before we start this project is setting up a virtual environment. And as you can see from my terminal, luckily with this, it's located right here, which is just the terminal to my computer, but it's just specific to this project. We have this right in front of it, and this just means that the virtual environment is activated. And what this virtual environment does is it basically creates like an environment so that you can download packages to the project, and they don't download directly onto your computer. This is just proper programming practice, and it comes installed with pip install and a few other important things that you would need when working within a project. So I would definitely watch a tutorial video on how to set up a virtual environment on your project, get that up and going, and once you are all set up and you have your virtual environment, you have the IED of choice, then we can actually dive into it. So to get started, I'm going to create a new folder, and a new file, and this file is going to be on tech stocks. Okay, that's what we're going to call this. All right. Now, in order to get this going off on the right foot, we're going to need to bring some stuff into the project. These are called packages, and what a package is it's basically bringing something from online, which somebody has already formatted a lot of code for you, and bringing it into your project. It just makes everything a lot easier, and it helps you target what you're supposed to be working on. Okay, and in order to get this started, we're going to do an import, and then we're going to do date time, which is a simple one, which should already come installed. The second one is we're going to be doing an import, and then we're going to be bringing in Plotly, and then we're going to do offline as py. The next one that we're going to be doing is we're going to do another import, and then we're going to do Plotly again, and then we're going to do graph objects, and then we're going to do as go. The last one that we're going to be bringing in is an import of Pandas data reader, which is going to be right here. we will be naming it as web. So let's just talk about the imports real quick, and I'll show you how to clear the red symbols that you're probably seeing underneath them. So what we're doing with the as is we're basically renaming it. So we're making it shorter so that we only have to call it py, go, and web. So we don't have to type out that much, okay? So to solve the issue, you want to go into your terminal where you have your virtual environment, because you should be seeing like 3 red lines around them. And then what we have to do is we have to do a pip install. So we'll do pip install, and then we'll do Plotly. For me, it's going to show up that I already have it, but for you, it should be downloading the package. The next thing that you want to bring into your project is you want to bring in Pandas Data Reader. So we're going to do another pip install. Okay, and once you do pip install Pandas Data Reader, you do enter, and then it should be downloading that. All right, now we're all set up to start up on this simple chart. So to get started, we got to pick the times that we're going to be going for. So we're going to do start, and then we're going to do equals, and then we'll do date time. And then we're basically calling on date time again. And then we want to call the time frames that we want to be looking at. So we're going to do 2000, we'll do 14, and then we'll do 1, 1, okay? Then the next one we'll do end, and then we'll do date time, dot date time again. And then we want to be doing, we'll go up to 2018, okay? And we'll call 2018 1, 1, okay? So now we want to basically call on the symbols, okay? And we're trying to grab the data from the symbols, all right? So in order to do this, we're going to use the data reader to basically format everything, okay? So we'll do Facebook as our first one. So we'll do capital FB, and then we'll do equals web.datareader, and then we have to call on a few specific things to pull it up, okay? So for the name, we will do FB because that's the symbol that we're supposed to be calling on, and we're going to be calling from it from the Yahoo API, okay? And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the start, and then we're going to do end. And what the start and the end does is it's basically calling on this right here to bring in this time frame, and it's saying we want these dates, okay? Now we're going to copy this, and then we're going to paste it 2 more times, okay? The next one we're going to do is we're going to do Twitter, okay? And for this one, we want to pull in the symbol, which is TWTR, and then we are all set. The last one that we want to do is we want to do Apple, so APPL, and that's the symbol for that, and then we'll do APPL to bring in the symbol. Cool. So we just brought in all of our financial data, and to kind of get an idea, and I would suggest doing this as you're working along, is to just do a print, and you can print one of these off. So we will do print FB, and then we're just going to come over to our file. We're going to right click for me, and I'm going to do run, or you just run the file however you go about it in your IED. So once this finishes, and as you can see, I made an error. So what was the problem is I did the Apple IED wrong, which is actually AAPL. So we're going to fix that. We're going to run it again, and it should work this time. Cool. So it worked. And what we're seeing is we're seeing a data frame. And data frames we will be explaining a lot more in depth in the next project, and we will basically be creating one from scratch. But with the Pandas data reader, we're grabbing the API from the web, and we're automatically correlating it into a data frame. And what this does is it breaks it up really nice, where we have these rows and columns. And these are going to be the rows, and we got columns which are basically indexed by date, which is really, really cool. And we can see all the different price data in correlation to Facebook. So in 2014, the high at this time was $55. And then if we scroll down, we can see that in 2018, it's 181. So really, really cool stuff, okay? And I suggest printing along with the project to really get an idea of what we are doing. So the next thing is we're going to be working within Plotly, and we're going to basically be setting up the graphing to basically break down all this data and to use it in a really cool way. So in order to do this, we're going to be using trace, and all this is just a name. And what we're going to do is we're going to do go, which we're calling on the Plotly graph objects, and then we're going to do OHLC, okay? And this is specifically a term for stock market data where you call on all of the different highs, lows, and everything else to get a stock-like format for building out, a graph. So we're going to need a few different things, and one of those things is we're going to need an X equals, and then what we're going to do is we're going to call on Facebook as the first one. So we will do FB, And then what we will do is we will call on the index. So what this is we're trying to set up the date. So we'll do dot index, and then we will do another parentheses and then dot. And what all this is saying is basically from Facebook, grab the index, which is right here. The index is date, and then use all of them, because what these parentheses do is you can select different times with it. So if I just wanted to select the first one, so if I just want to select this right here, I could just do 1, and that would select it. But if I wanted to select everything, you can just do the little colon, and that will select all of the dates on this data frame, okay? Now, once you finish it, you got to put a comma at the end, and then the next thing we're going to be working on is we're going to do an open. So we're going to do open equals, and then we'll do Facebook, and then we'll do this column again. We're going to do that, and we want to basically get the open price. So we're going to type in open like this. And then we're going to go into the next one, which is going to be the high. Okay, so we're going to do high as the next one, and we will set it up as Facebook, and then we're going to call on high. And all we're doing with these is we're basically calling this right here to basically fill in this graph, and then we're going to do low after that. Low equals Facebook, and then we'll do that, and then we'll do low, and then we have to finalize with a close. So we'll do close equals Facebook close. Okay, after that we got to name the thing so we know what we're looking at here. And we can name it FB, the symbol, or you can do Facebook. I'll just call it FB for now. And then we'll move on to the next thing, which is going to be the coloring. And the coloring is really simple. It's just what do you want to basically set up the high and low candlestick. So you have the ability to change it up, and I'll show you how it works. And we'll do it with one, and then you can do it with the others if you want to. So to do this, you have to set increasing, and then you want to do an equal, and then we want to do a DICT, and we're going to bring in lines. And we're going to make that equal to a DICT. And then we're going to bring in color. And then we're going to make that equal to a color. So for increasing, if I want it to be blue, I could set it as blue. And then what we'll do is we'll do decreasing for the next one. And then we'll just copy the same thing that we just did. And I guess what I'll do is I'll just do a real quick copy and paste. So we'll do copy, paste, and then I will change this one to red. Okay? Now, what we want to do to make this easy is we'll just copy this, and we're going to do it 3 times, okay? So we're just copying it, and we're setting up 3 traces, all right? And we want to go down. This is going to be trace 2. This is going to be trace 3. Everything else is pretty much set up, but we have to change this. So we're going to do TW for this one. TW. Awesome. Okay, so we got all that fixed. Now we got to go into the last one, and this is going to be APPLE, okay? All right. All right. So what we have done is we just brought all the data into our graph. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we want to format it, okay? And for the proper way to do it with Plotly is you want to do data equals, and then we're going to create a list, and then we're just going to bring in the different traces. So we'll do trace, we'll do trace 2, and then we'll do trace 3. Awesome. So we just brought everything in. The last thing we want to do is we want to create the layout, which also is just proper etiquette for labeling everything. So we will just do layout, and then we'll do equals, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to basically title it, and then we get to name whatever we want to name it. So we'll just name it Facebook versus Twitter versus Apple. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're also going to name the y-axis. So we'll do y-axis, and then we'll do a colon again, and then we'll do title. Oh, my bad. We'll do title, and then we'll call price per stock as the name, and we're missing that, so that should fix that. And then I messed up on this, so I'm just going to move that, and we'll throw that right there. Cool. So the layout is all set up, and all we have to do to finalize everything is we just have to call the graph, okay? So in order to do this, we'll do fig equals, and then we'll do a DICT, and then all we're going to do is we're going to do data equals data, which we're just calling on this data right here. We're correlating it to what it's supposed to be graphing, okay? Now we're going to do layout equals layout. Relatively simple. All right, so then all we have to do is we just got to say, all right, everything's in. Let's just run it. So we're going to do py, and then we're going to do plot, and then we're going to set the fig, and then we're going to file name equals to techstocks.html. And that is it. We have everything up and running, and we should be good to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this one more time, and we're going to see what happens. And as you can see, we got an error, and this is just part of programming, but I named it wrong, so it's actually supposed to be line, not lines. So we're just going to go up, and we will delete all this, and we will go back, and we will rerun it, and we'll see what happens. And it looks like we got another error. And I'm keeping this in here to show you how to basically figure out errors. And what you want to do is you want to scroll up the error, and then it says something's wrong with the y-axis, the property layout. And it's pointing to the received value, which is this. And from this information, if we do a quick Google search, we can see that I set it up wrong. So I need to do a colon right here to basically break these two up. Now, if we rerun it, it should have fixed the problem. And wha-bam, it did. And we just fixed the problem, and everything's running perfectly. And now we have the graph. Everything's all set up. We have the blue as the high one. We can change that to any other color. So if we want to go back, we can change, blue for this one, and we'll just do yellow. And then for this one, we will do, we'll do green. And we will rerun it, and it will change everything. And from here, you can add more to compare. This is just getting started and to show you how easy it is to graph, lines and stock data, which is relatively very, very simple. And as you can see, it changed everything here. We have the ledger, and if you want to take something off, you can click it, and it will take it off. So if I want to get rid of Facebook, I just click it, and it got rid of it. So that's how that works. If we want to get rid of Twitter, we got rid of Twitter, and then we just have Apple left. And then we can, look in closer, look back. Really, really cool stuff. Now, let's dive into the more interesting one, which is going to be how to basically break down Binance API and how to get data and how to format it. Because there are a few more tricks with the Binance API, and I think you guys are going to find it very interesting and a fun project to take on. All right, so this is going to be a fun one, okay? So to start off, let's just learn about data frames. We'll just create a new file, and we'll just do data, and we'll just name it data for right now. Okay, now what we're going to do here is we're going to bring in some information, and we're going to bring in the Binance API, and we're going to basically set it up so that we can actually break down the data into a data frame. This we're going to be doing from scratch, okay? So the first step is we got to bring in what we're going to need, okay? And then we'll do from Binance, and then we'll do a dot client, import client, okay? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring Binance into the project. So we'll do a pip install, and then we'll do python -binance. And we will let that load. For me, the requirements are already satisfied. And because we already have Plotly installed, we should be all good. The only other thing that we might need is going to be pandas. So we'll do a pip install, and then we'll do pandas. All right, now it's brought everything in, we can continue, okay? So we're gonna go up to the top again, and we're gonna bring in the other stuff that we're going to need. And because we won't work with Plotly right now, but we will be doing datetime. So let's do a from datetime, import, and then we'll do datetime, okay? And then we're gonna do from pandas, import data frame as df. Awesome. So we brought in everything we need, but we got to, we'll set it up in 1 second, all right? So to get started, let's just reference what we're going to be working on, okay? And because we're going to be working on the Binance API, we have a awesome wrapper that we can use, which we just installed, which is the Binance, the Python Binance wrapper. And This is a really good resource to kind of break down how to use it, but to get started, we have to basically bring it in. So we already brought in this, but now we have to bring in the client, which is going to be calling on the API keys. And I'll show you how to get all that set up. All right, so we're going to do client equals client and then API keys. All right, so we're going to bring that in. All right, so this is showing up as red. And what we need to do is we need to grab our API keys from the Binance exchange, all right? So in order to do that, we have to go back onto the internet and we gotta go over to Binance. Okay, once you log on to Binance, you wanna make your way over to the API settings, which is going to be on your user page. So once you click up here, you go to account, you'll be sent over to your API. And then you want to label it, create a new API, and then you'll get an API public, and then you'll get an API secret. And then you want to copy those, and then we're going to go back over to our PyCharm or your IED. So in order to set this up properly, we're going to be doing this the right way. We're going to go and we're going to create a new Python file, and then we're going to be naming it keys, okay? So once we make this, we're going to do P, and then we'll do key, and then we will do equals, and then we're going to call a string, and then we're going to paste our public key right there. And then for S key, we will do the same thing, which is going to be our secret key, and then you will be putting your private key right here, okay? So just from Binance, whatever you have as your public key, put it right here, and your secret key, put it right here, okay? And once you are done, we're gonna move back over to data. We're gonna bring in our API keys. So we're gonna do an import, and then we're gonna do keys. And it should pop up, and there we go. The next thing we want to do is we want to delete this, and then we will do API key equals, and then we'll do keys dot public key, okay, or P key. And then the next one is going to be API secret equals, and then we'll do the same thing, which is going to be keys dot S key. Now this is just proper programming practice, because whenever you're working with sensitive API keys, you don't want to show that data within your code, and this just protects you and just makes sure that you don't push your actual keys to a GitHub repository, because you're trying to be as safe as possible with your information. All right, so to get started, we will be moving our project into a function, but for right now, we're just going to work without it, all right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to call on the data, okay? So what we're going to do is we'll do candles, and then we'll do an equal, and then we will do client dot get k lines, and then we're going to do symbol, and we will equal to, we'll do LTC USD. All right, so then the next thing we want to do is we want to call the interval that we're supposed to be looking at. So we'll do interval, and we will make it equal to client dot k lines, and then we'll do, let's just go with 1 hour for right now. All right, so in order to find this, like I said, we'll go back to this awesome resource, which is going to be the Python Binance overview of the docs. And if you go into general or market data endpoints, you will have a list of different things you can call, and you can see what they do. So what we're doing right now is we're calling K-line candlesticks. So we just got get K-lines, and then we're calling the interval, which is going to be the symbol of LTC, and then the interval right here. And we will see the data that we're about to get from that. And there's a bunch of other ones that you can dive into, so you can make all of these different calls on the API. All right, so going back into our program, we are going to basically, let's just call out what we have right now, all right? So you guys can have an idea. So we'll print it off, and we'll print off candles. We're gonna run the file, and we'll see what do we actually get. And as you can see, we got an error, and I think the error is we gotta call it USDT. So we will go back, we made the T change, and we got the data that we want. So as we can see, we got a format of a lot of different stuff. We can see a really long string right here. We don't really know what that is, but we can get an idea. Then we see different prices, okay? So we got to figure out what is going on here. So we have a list, and then within the list, we have a few different things that we're calling on, and then it stops, and then the new list begins, and it just continues on and on and on, as you can see. All right, so let's get a better idea of what is going on. So we're going to go back over to the documents, We're going to click on the get K-lines candlestick. And once it loads up, we can actually see what we are receiving from the API. So the first thing we're seeing is we're getting the open time, which is in a different format that we need to break down. We're getting the open price, we're getting the high, the low, the close, the volume, the close time, and it's working within this parameter. So this is how it's actually displaying. So we have a lot of work that we have to do to cleanse our code and to make sure that we're bringing in the right data. So let's just go back now that we have an idea of what all these represent. All right, so the first order of business is we're going to be working within data frames. And whenever you're a data scientist, data frames are everything to you. So let's just dive into, we'll do candles, and then we'll call it data and frame, okay? We're gonna make that equal to df, which is data frame. We're gonna do the parentheses right here, and then we're going to bring in candles, all right? So now we're gonna do another print. We'll do print, and we'll do candles data frame, and we'll see what is going on with our code now. Let's see what we get. Okay, as you can see, things look a lot different. We have it formatted in rows and columns. We have 0, 1, 2, all the way up to 11. So this is really, really cool. We're breaking down the data in a better way. All right, so now we can continue. We'll move on to the next thing. We need to bring in the date. So we will do Canda's data frame, and we will add date at the end. And this is going to equal candles data frame, and we will just call on 0. And what this is this is the index. So within Python, 0 is always the first one, and then it moves on. So as you can see, 0 is right here. We're calling on it, so we're just going to be calling on just the date, which is going to be this long string, and we're going to actually make this readable, okay? So the next thing we want to do is we're going to create a loop, but before we do, we need to create an empty list. And we'll call this one final date, okay? And this is going to be equal to an empty list. Now, in order to set up this loop, we will do a for, and then we will do time in candles data frame, and we'll do date. And then we'll be setting up this loop. And the first thing we need to do is we need to make sure that this date is readable. So we'll just name this one readable equals, and then we will do date time. And then we're going to be doing from timestamp, and we're going to be calling an int because we need to turn it into an int. And time, because we're going to be calling on each individual one, because what this is doing is we're calling on the data frame, and for each individual date within the data frame, we're calling it and we're turning it into an int. And then what we need to do is we need to divide it by 1000, because what Binance does is it sets up its date time within milliseconds. So we need to break it out of milliseconds and to make it a little bit shorter. So whenever we divide it by 1000, we're taking it out of milliseconds, and we can actually turn it into a readable date. All right, so then the next thing we need to do is we need to basically add this date into our final date. So what we're going to do is we'll do final date, and then we'll do append, and this is basically adding on to the list, and then we're going to be adding readable, okay? So now if we go out and we can do print, and we can do final date, we can see if we run the file, we have an error. Now, in order to fix this error, we need to basically make sure that each one that we're calling is unique. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to our data frame on the for function that we're calling, and then we will do dot, and then we'll do unique, and we will run it again, and we'll see what we get. Awesome. So what we get is we get a new list, and then we can see that we have datetime, and we can actually see dates now. So we got 2019, 3/9/17, and then it goes on. And what these at the end is this is the actual time that we're looking at. So this is awesome. We actually have it formatted in a proper way, but we have to break it down even more, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna delete all the junk within our original data frame. So we're gonna call on this data frame right here once again. So we'll do candles data frame, and then we will do a dot pop, which is going to basically delete a column. We'll put a 0 on it. All right, and then for the next one, we will be doing the same thing, which is going to be, we'll just copy it, paste it, and then for this one, we're going to delete 11. all right? Because we're not going to need either one of those, all right? So then the next thing we want to do is put our newfound dates within a data frame, okay? Because right now we can see that it's showing up like this. So let's just add it into a data frame and we'll see what happens, okay? So we'll do data frame, and then we will do final date, and it's going to equal df, and we're just going to be bringing in this list which we've been working on, and we're going to just add it right here. Cool. So if we do a print again, and then we'll bring in data frame final date, and we will run it, we'll see what we're going to get. Awesome. So does this not look a lot more clear, or what? We actually have the format, we have the timestamp right here. Everything is looking really, really good for this, all right? So what we have to be doing is we have to set this up so that we actually know what we're working in. So I don't like how this is labeled 0 as the column, so we're going to be renaming that, all right? So let's just rename that real quick, and we'll do data frame final date, and then we're going dot columns, and we will equal it to date. So all we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing our one column to date. All right, so let's just run that again, and we can see that we changed the date. And this is why the print command is so important, because it helps you along with what you're doing within the project. So this is now called date. All right, so right now we have two different data frames, all right? We have candles data frame, which has everything, and then we have just the date data frame. So if we go back, let's just show, because right now we have this one, which we've already printed off, but we'll just print off the candles data frame, and we can see what this one looks like. Because we took out the junk, which is going to be the date, that's gone. We can see that we took off the zeros of 11, and now we're just left with the data. So what we want to do is we want to conjoin those two data frames together, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new data frame, and we're going to conjoin these together. So we'll call this one final, and then we'll call it data frame, okay? So this final data frame is going to equal, and it is going to be made up of our original data frame, which is data frame, candles data frame, and then we will do a dot, and then we're going to join it with our other data frame, which is going to be data frame final date, which is going to be right here. So now we just conjoin both of these together, and if we print this off, which is going to be final data frame, we can see what we're going to get. And as you can see, we have the date at the very end. So we have date at the end, it's all labeled, but now we need to make sure that this is the index, okay? So we're gonna set this all up so that we can replace the index. So let's go back, and we're gonna do final data frame. We're gonna do set, and then we'll do set index, and then we're going to be bringing in date. So we're calling on date right here. So this is gonna be the index, that's what we're calling on. And then we're going to do in place. So we're going to in place our current our current index, and then we'll set that to true. Cool. So if we rerun it, we should have that set as the index. Awesome. So we're making progress. The only thing I want to do is I want to make sure that we label all of these correctly. So let's just do that, and we will do final data frame. So final data frame, and then we'll do columns. And then we will make sure it's equal to, and we'll create a list. And what we want to do is we want to go back over so that we have this right here. As you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to be naming all of these that are highlighted their proper name. All right. So let me just bring that in. And all I did was I typed them out. So open is going to be this one right here for the first one, because we don't need time. So just ignore the date time because that's the index. But everything else we can add except the last one because we got rid of that one. So just add from open all the way down to take or buy options. And that's what I did, where I created a string within the list, and then I just kept on adding them. So this goes all the way down, as you can see, to take or buy quotes. Alrighty, so we're about done with this, and what we want to do is we want to basically put it within a function. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to the top, and then we're going to do a def, and we're going to call this Binance, and we will call this price. Awesome. And we will do that, and what we will do is we're going to grab all this code, we're going to scroll down except without taking the print, and we're going to do a tab, and then we will return, and we will return final data frame. Awesome. So just to make sure that we got everything right, what we're going to do is we're going to call this function by doing Binance price, and we will add a little colon, and we will print it off, and we will see what happens whenever we run the file. Awesome. Everything's formatted, everything's labeled, and everything's organized. Now, this is one of the most important parts whenever working within data as a Python programmer is you have to organize your data, and Pandas really makes it simple. And that's what I really wanted to show with this video and how to really go about it. There's a bunch of other mechanics that you can do with data frames, but this is really complex and concerning data frames where we broke down price data, we made it readable, we relabeled a bunch of different columns, and we set the index, and we did a bunch of other different stuff. So the next thing we need to do is we need to basically create the chart around this data. All right, so let's just get into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to our file. We're going to do a new Python file, and we'll just do this as plot, okay? So that's what we're going to name this, plot.py. So in order to get this all set up, we need to bring some stuff in, all right? So what I'm going to be bringing in is I'm going to be bringing in import plotly.offline as py. I'll just do py, and then import plotly.graph as objects as go. All right, so I've already played with these before, so they should already be installed and you should be already set up. Now, the other import we want to do is our data. So we'll do a from, and then we'll do data. So we'll bring in that Python file, and then we will import, and we will import our Binance price. Awesome. So now we brought it into this file. Now we can actually work with it, and we can get this all set up. So I think the first thing we should do is we should set up the table. So we'll do a table trace, and we will make that equal to go.table. All right. Now we got to bring in the data. So let's go into domain, and we're going to set the domain as DICT. And we're going to set the X to equal a list, and we will do that as 0 and then 0.5. Cool. Then we're going to do Y, and we will set this to 0 and then 1.0. And then we're going to move on to the next thing, which is going to be the column width. So we'll get out of that. We'll do an parentheses outside of that colon, and we will come back to column. And as you can see, width is right here. And we're going to do this to, I think a 30 would be a good number for the index. And then we'll do a plus, and then we'll do 33, 35, and then 33. All right, just to give it a little bit of variance. So then we're going to do the column border, okay? So let's just bring that in. So we'll do column order, and we're going to make that 0. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Now let's move on to the next thing, which is going to be the head. So we bring in header. We're going to do a DICT, and we're going to get the height, which is going to be equal to 50. And then we get to bring in the values. So this is going to be labeling the header, because that's what we're in right now. So the height of the header is going to be 50. We're going to be bringing in the values of the header. So what are we going to name the header, the different sections within the header? So we'll do values and equals, and we're going to do a list because we're going to be bringing in a few different things, another list within that. The first one is going to be date. So we're going to bring in a string. I will do B, and then we will type in date, and then I will close that B, and we will move on to the next one. So we get out of that, we go into our next list, and then we will do open. So we'll do the exact same thing. Actually, let me just make this easier. We're just going to delete that. I'm going to copy this, and we will make it a few times. So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. So we have this all set up, but we have to change these. So we will do open price. We will also be calling on high price. We will be calling on low price, closing price. We will do volume. And we could do one more. So I'm going to do one more. And we will name this last one number of trades. Awesome. And all we need to do is just make sure that we have our commas went in here so that these are all fixed and they're not showing little errors. So let's just go in here, add our commas, and we are all good to go. So the next thing we need to do is we need to add our lines. This might be a little tricky, but you need to make sure that you're working within the right stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a comma right here between these last colons. So we have this. I'm going to bring that down. We'll do lines. Make that equal to a DICT, and we will make that equal to a color, which is going to be equal to a string, which is going to be RGB. We will do 50, and then we'll do 50, and then we will do 50. Awesome. All right, now we got to add another, and we're going to be moving down to a line because we want to make sure that this isn't going to get in the way of our graphs. We'll equal this to left, the string left within a list, and we will multiply that by 5, and that way we can get it out of the way. The next thing is we want to set the font because we'll change the font a little bit. So we'll do font, and we'll make that equal to DICT. We'll do a color, and we will do equals to another list, and we could just bring in string, which is going to be RGB, and we will set that to 45, 45, 45, and we will close that off. All right, so we will multiply this by 5, which should do the trick. We'll set the size so that it's actually readable to 14. And we will add a comma at the end of that. And the last thing is going to be the fill color. So we'll do fill. We'll make that fill equal to DICT. We will set the color to another string, which is going to be RGB. I think a nice blue would look good. So we'll do 135. We'll add another comma. We'll do 193. I'll add another comma, and we will do 238, and that should create a beautiful blue. Awesome. So we have all that set up, and that's going to be the column header. The next thing we want to do is we need to fill in the data into the actual table that we are creating, okay? So in order to do this, we got to call on cells. We got to make sure that that's equal to a DICT. We're going to be calling the values because that's going to be the first thing that we want to basically set up. So let's just do values. We'll make sure that that is equal to a list. And what we want to do is we want to bring in all of the values from Binance into here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be calling on Binance price, and we want to call the function, which is the parentheses right here, and we want to do a dot index, and we will set that to everything. So that's going to be bringing in the date and the time because that's going to be the most important one. So we'll put that first. The next thing what we want to do is we'll work in order. So we'll go open and we'll work our way down. So we'll just do Binance price again. We'll call the function, and then we need to declare it with what we named it, which was open. The next thing we want to do is I'll just copy this a few times to make it go by faster. So I know that we're going to need it 2, 3, that's going to be 4, that's going to be 5, that's going to be 6, that's going to be 7. So we have 7 right here. So we have open done. The next one that we named is going to be high. All right. And then we'll do low, and then we'll do close. Then we will do volume, and the last one, which we called, which was trade number. And all we're doing for this is we're basically calling the name within our data, and we're calling these right here, okay? So that's what we're doing within the plot. All right, so now that we have the data within our cell, we can move into making sure that we have everything correct on here, which is going to be just coming back over here. We'll add a comma. We will get out of that, push that down a little bit farther. The next thing is let's just set the line to a color. So we'll do line equals. We will do DICT. We'll do color equals, and we will set this to 106784, and I think that would be a good color for this. All right, so then the next thing we want to do is we want to align this. So we'll do a line, and we will make it equal to a list, and we will set this as a string within left. And we will do the same thing that we did up there. We'll multiply it by 5. All right, now we can close that off and go into the next one. And the next one we'll do is font. So we'll do a font, and we'll do that equal to a DICT. Once again, we'll do color equals, we will make it into a list. We'll do RGB. I think a little bit of a change would be nice. So we'll do 45, or actually, yeah, I think 45 will work. 45, 45, 45, and we will close that off. Then we want to multiply it by 5. Make sure that we have the size equal to 14. Or actually, because that's, I'm going to make it a little smaller. So we'll make that size 12 so that they're different. All right. The next thing we want to do is we want to format. So let's format all this. So we'll do format, and we'll do an equals, and we will set it to none. And we will add another list, and we will put a string in there, and we'll do a comma, and then we'll do dot to F. And if you don't know the F string, this is basically a way to format, your information. You use it a lot within Python programming, and there's different ones that you can use. But anyway, we'll do a multiply by 2, and then we'll do an add, another list. We'll put a string in that list. We'll do another comma, and then we'll do a point for F. And then at the end, we'll add another comma. So then we'll do a suffix, and we will make sure that the suffix is equal to a list of none, and we will multiply that by 4. And finally, we will do the height, and we're going to make sure the height is equal to 27. We'll add a comma at the end of that, and then we'll fill the actual table with a color that is different from our other one, but close. So we'll do DICT. We'll do color again. We'll make that equal to a list, and this is going to fill the actual columns to a RGB. We'll do 135, 193, and 238, and that should create a lighter blue color. We're going to close that off, and then we're going to be bringing in 128, 222, 249, and then for transparency, we'll do a 0.65. Awesome. So now we have the table all set up. So now that the table's done, it is time to run it and make sure that we can bring in the table. All right. So in order to run it, we're going to do fig as figures equals DICT. We will bring in data, and we will make that equal to a list. And in the list, we are going to be bringing in table trace. Awesome. So after that, we're going to do py.plot, and we are going to be bringing in the figure as fig, and we will do file, and then name is going to be equal to table and .html, and we will run it, and we'll see if we have any errors. Alrighty, so we just got an error, but if we scroll up, we can look through it and we can see what we can find, all right? So we can see value error, invalid property specific for object for type plotly lines. Awesome. So I think what's going on is it's saying lines is not correct. So if we remove that, that was a mistype when we just put in lines, we can run it again. We can see if there's any other errors. And this is a big part of Python programming, and this is why I wanted to include it, because we got another error, right? And what it's saying is received value RGB, and it's saying that we're missing in a parentheses. So if we go up to where that is at, we can see that we forgot a parentheses within the string, and then we can run it again. And hopefully this time it will work. Awesome. So it's loading up right now, and we'll see if we got the table. It is looking good. So we can pull on it. We can pull out all the other tables, and we can see that we actually got the data here. Awesome job, everybody. We're almost through this. All right, so let's just go back into our program. So we got the table all figured out. Now it's time to move into the other stuff, which is going to be, we're going to be tracing. And I think the first one we should trace is going to be trace equals, and we'll do the stock data, okay? So because we just worked with this in the other one, you kind of have an idea what we're doing. We're going to do a go, and we're going to do an LC, which you should have seen before. And basically we're going to be doing the exact same thing that we did in our first graph. We're going to do an X equals, and we will be bringing in Binance price, and then we will be calling the X for index. So we'll do a dot, and then we'll do index, and we will call on all of the index. Awesome. So we will do a comma. I'm going to push this down a little bit so we can continue to add. So now we got to bring in the open price, all right? So we're going to call in open. We'll bring it in, and then we're just going to be calling in Binance price. Call that function, and then we're going to be basically calling just open. All right, so let's go into close. So for close, we'll do Binance price again. Call the function. We're going to be calling close. All right, and then we're going to be doing high. We're going to make sure that the high is equal to Binance price. Call that function. We're going to make sure that that is equal to low, and we're going to make sure that is equal to high. Awesome. So let's bring in low. Low equals, you should know it by now, Binance price. Bring in the function, and then we're going to bring in low. Awesome. So let's just dive into the last two graphs. So we're going to be working on the volume, and for this one, we're going to just do a normal scatter plot. So let's just do trace 2. We will make sure that is equal to go.scatter, and we are going to set the x-axis to be Binance data frame, and we will make that call on the index because we want to make sure that we're getting the time, and we're going to call on all of it. And then for the y, we're going to bring in the Binance function again. So we'll do Binance, call the function, and then we're going to be calling the volume. And we have to make sure that we add our comma. And the next thing we need to clarify is the position that the second graph is going to go on. So to do this, we will do x-axis is going to equal, and then we will do x2. Awesome. So we need to add our commas, and then we have to add our y-axis is going to equal, and we will make sure that is equal to y2. And we will do line is going to equal DICT, and we will do a width of 2, and then we're going to be bringing in a color, and I say we go with we'll go with purple. And then the last thing we need to do is we need to name it. So we'll do name equals, and we'll name it to volume. All right, so we're gonna just copy this. We're gonna paste it down here. We're gonna name this last one trace3 go.scatter. Everything is good. The only thing that we have to change is this. So let's just scroll up. We'll get a trade number, and we're gonna copy this from above. That's what we named it in our data frame. So I'm gonna paste that, and then all we're gonna do is we're gonna change the X to 3, the Y to 3, and then we're gonna change the color to yellow. How about that? And the name is going to be a number of trades. Okay, cool. So we have everything plotted, and then all we have to do is finish everything up. So let's just declare the axes. So we'll go into axis, and then we'll equal to DICT, and we're going to be calling show lines, or line, and we're going to make sure that is equal to true. And then we're going to be going into 0 line, and we will make that false. And then we are going to be doing show grid. I think we should. So we'll do show grid, make that true. And then we will do mirror, and we will make that true also. And then we will do tick, L-E-N, so ticklin. We will set that to 4. And we forgot a comma, but I fixed that. And then we have to go to grid color. We will set that to white, that way it's see-through. So we'll do F, 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 F. Make sure we have 6 in there. Make sure we put it in a string. Awesome. And then the last thing is we need to just set the size of the tick. So we'll do tick font, and then we'll do DICT, and then we'll do size, and we'll set that to 10. And all I have to do is add the equal sign right here, and we should be good to go. Okay, we are on the final stretch. All we need to do is set the layout, and we are done, and we can graph this whole thing, okay? So let's just set the layout of everything. So we'll just do a layout, and we will equal it to DICT, and we're going to be calling in the width, and we're going to set the width to 950. We're going to be calling in the height. We will set the height equal to 800, and then we will set auto size equal to false. We will set title equal to trade data. We will set margin, and we will set that to DICT, and we will do T equals 100, and then we will do show legend, and we will set that to false. Finally, we get to bring in our x1s, our y and x axes. So for this, we're just going to do x axes 1 is equal to DICT, and then we will do axes, and we will do star star DICT domain, and we will bring equals to a list of 0.55, 1, and we will add an anchor, and we will set that anchor to y1, and then we will do show tick labels equals to false, and we will add our comma at the end of all that. We're going to copy this, and we're going to paste it 6 times so that we have 6 of these, and then we're going to come back and we're going to change up a few, okay? So for this next one, we're going to be doing y2. We're going to change the x-axis to 2 also. This one's going to be 3, and then this one's going to be y, and we're going to change that one to 1. Y, and we're going to change that one to 2. Y-axis, change that one to 3. All right, and all we have to do is just make sure that these are all set also. So this one's going to correlate to x1, this one's going to correlate to x2, this one's going to correlate to x3, and then all we have to do is change the domains a little bit. All of the first x's are fine, but we have to change the y's. So for this one, we'll just do 0.66, and then 1 sounds good. For the next one, we will do 0.3. And then I'm going to do a plus 0.03. And then for the final one, we will end it with a 0.63. And we will need to delete this at the end. So this one should be tick prefix is going to equal, and we will do $sign. We will do hover format, and we will equal that to a string of .2f, and that one should be set up. And all we want to do for the one above it is we're just going to grab this hover mode, and we're going to paste that into y-axis 1. And then for the last one, we have to change these numbers, and I'm going to do 0.0 and then 0.3. The anchor is already set. And then this will bring in a BTC image. So we'll do a tick prefix is going to be equal to a string of \u20bf. And then we're going to do hover mode. It is going to be also equal to a string of .2f. Awesome. So now we are actually done with everything. I know that took a little bit, but we got through it all right. And now we can just add everything in. So let's just go into trace. We'll bring in trace. We're going to bring in trace 2, and then we're going to be bringing in trace 3. And then we're going to get out of that list, and we're going to go into bringing in the layout. So we'll just do layout equals layout. And that should be everything. So with all that said and done, let's run it and see if we have any errors that pop up. As you can see, we got an error. It says hover mode's the error. I mistyped. This should actually be hover format, and that should fix the error. We'll rerun it, and we'll see if it works the second time. It's looking promising. It's loading up something, so let's see what we have. And voila, look at that. So we have brought it in. We have our charts. As you can see, everything's in. We have our tables right here. We have our charts that we can actually move around. So I can make this bigger or smaller. And then we also have our volume, and then I don't think yellow is the best one for this, but this one should be the number of trades. And anyway, you could change this around. Now that you have an idea of how it works, you can come in here now that we've actually built this out, and you can, you know, play with it a little bit. You can change some colors. So for example, for number of trades, I don't like yellow, so we can go into a green as our color, and we can reload it, and we can see that it's going to actually change it. And as you can see, it worked. So now we have a number of trades as green, and that's a lot better, a lot easier to see. But anyway, with that, I hope that this tutorial was interesting for you guys. Like I said, this was my first tutorial, so if I slaughtered it, I'm sorry. They will get better with time as I better prepare for it and I learn what I'm doing right and wrong. But if you want to continue learning Python programming, you know, come jump in our Discord. We have an awesome Discord community, and we talk about trades. I have some areas for talking about programming, so we could talk about programming, trading bots, or anything else. We have over 823 users in here, and it's a really awesome place to ask questions. Other than that, you know, please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to continue to get finance related programming, or if you just want to learn about trading bots, or if you want to just learn more about the market in general. Other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day trading and building the market.
Da 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 da. Yeah, I'm annoying, right? Some days I'm like, fuck spitting, nah, just kidding. I'm always crashing like my phone cause it's bug ridden. I'm just living, wishing I could better me. Fuck tripping on the past, I'ma let it be.